Okay, welcome to an off-the-cuff, informal Let's Talk episode. Very quick. This is about role-playing in solo RPGs, and the second is going to be about my new approach for conflict in the current system I have been using for the Escobar campaign. That's the Chronica of Feudalis, which is a lesser-known system from 15 years ago, looks like. Now, first, role playing. I've talked about this plenty of times, but in the recent episode of the Escobar campaign, Legend of Esper, I attempted some role play, which I do quite a lot. But then there are times I just kind of describe what the character would do and their actions and what they would say. I want to see what you guys think. Um, I often flip flop between role playing or just describing, acting out, compared to what I've seen in the real world as far as in group play. I notice it's entirely preference, and I'm sure seasoned GMs out there are quite used to both. Players who are full on cosplay, they act out, they role play what their character would do, what the character would say. They're not running around with a staff and pretending to blast at someone, but they would have to describe what they're doing, but then in the voice of the character, and that's completely fine. I've seen that before at conventions I've gone to. But then there are some players who are not used to that. They just prefer to talk like I am now, describing what the character may do, what they see, what they think their character would do, and maybe what they would say. Just being observant of the surroundings. So I think for me, I flip flop between the two, but I prefer just to describe. I don't really necessarily want to role play to exaggerate the role playing method, but by any means, I'm not good at it. But I prefer the method of just describing. Please feel free to list what you guys think. If you guys prefer, if you do solo play or you do group play, if you prefer to act out in character with the voice and everything, with the demeanor, the approach, the aneurysms and all that stuff, aneurysms, um, or if you prefer just to just explain like on paper what they would do, what your character will say to whoever you're interacting with or whatever you're doing in the game world. Um, and if you want to mention what you prefer me to do, I will still, go by my own decision, but I'm not afraid to listen to your guys' feedback. And if you prefer to see me act out what the character is doing, it's definitely a personal challenge for me. I'm not exactly, an extrovert to do that, but this is like a safe space. So uh, it just depends on, I guess, how things are going for me personally, if I can carry that enthusiasm to the camera. But typically, with everything else I'm handling, with the world building, the Escobar landscape template as it evolves out of my control at times, I'm not trying to put too much effort into one thing in these videos. So, role play in general, it's always fun to do. In the last episode, because I'm now basing my characters off movie characters, it helps me visualize and think of what they would act like, what they would do and say in person. It does indeed help channel some role play, an attempt at role playing in character, but I don't want it to become too silly or too cringe for you guys. That's why, like, I may just focus on the detailed approach, just saying what they would do, action and dialogue in person on camera here. But if you, again, I will listen to what you guys would have to say about it, but more so what you guys do personally. And I'm assuming people out there who solo play like I do off camera probably act it out too, and that's totally, it's totally acceptable. And yeah, that's really it. So next, the second thing I want to talk about in this video is conflict. It's handling conflict in the Chronic of the Dialis game. Because in the last video I attempted just a DC value when attacking with all the pulled dice from every participant in the combat, in the conflict scene. A commenter did mention something very good, did point out a mistake I made, where there's no point to include a D4 if the DC is a D6. And he's right. They were exactly right. So I'm like, oh, right. Um, that is very true. And so now when I thought about, well, how can I fix that? Because the one issue with using opposing rolls in the dice, the bees dice roller that's a website you can put into OBS, the browser plugin, and green screen out the background, key out the background. You just have the one color dice, and it's just all the same color when you roll it. There's HTML code you can put in the browser to change the colors of the face colors and the color of the actual die. But I've thought of an alternative, and that is just to put two plugins on screen. So I have the usual blue for hero and red for enemy. So on here, I would basically just go, okay, my character has a couple D6s, a D8, and the enemy has a D6, D4, maybe a D8 in there, and then throw, and there you go. I now have two rolls, two dice pool of rolls. And there you go. You know, in this example, it looks like the highest one is the blue. So blue wins, ignoring the total, obviously. And there you go. Reset them. And when I'm doing skill checks, I can just do the blue side because that's the character. And there you go. I'm like, okay, well, that's what I rolled. Perfect. It's fixed. Like I have the blue and red dice. It's all on one screen. I'm not looking at my other screen. It's all right there at the bottom of a dock that I have the interactive browser plugin as a whole, and just clicking along, and that's it. Simple. Problem solved. I figured now I can go by the game's rules in conflict and actually roll the dice you're supposed to roll against. And remember, there's triple success. You can have one success, two, or three. And then I have to remember, I caught myself in the last video doing this. I can only roll as much dice as I have vigor, staining vigor. So if I have if I have one wound, I'm down to two. I can only roll two dice for that participant. And also, it's rolling everything. I roll the armor, I roll the weapons, I roll the skill, and possibly the aspect. Again, it's crushing the entire round into one full roll for both sides. The attack and defense of both sides respectively, and whoever is the winner gets to deal the wounds, and whoever loses takes the wounds. There's no step by step. There's no initiative attack. Okay, defender defends. Next, the defender attacks. Then the new defender attacks, or the new defender defends. Stuff like that. I was not a fan of that. That is kind of a blend of DC and GURPS, I guess I would say, because in GURPS you can defend when the attacker attacks you, but because it's solo play, I'm trying to speed things up a bit because of everything I'm handling here. It compresses it, and I really did like it, even with just the DC method. But now, I can actually have use the character, the bestiary. There is a bestiary in here, and there are characters like Soldier. So they have full stats, and they're only half a page per. Mostly Soldier and a Thief. So for the last one, I would have done Outlaw or Soldier just to balance it out. So the Soldier has Dash, Fend, and Strike and D10s, which are pretty good. Aspects, they have tools. So they definitely have some stats to go off. And it's only a few pages long, but that's really all I need. And I can obviously create my own characters, NPCs, with their stats. But yeah. So let me know what do you guys think of that. Again, this is going to make things so much easier when doing opposing roles because this game is it's opposing roles for conflict. That's really it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.